Yo, what it do, YouTube? It is your boy Marcus. We are back with another video, and today I'm joined by my guy once again, Lucas Robbins. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well. Can't complain. Just another great day here in Indy.
All right, man. I'm glad you can join me today. We're going to be discussing the offense. We just discussed the defense on the last video. We guys know about that, but it wouldn't have been right if we didn't talk about the offense. We can't just talk about one side of the field because you guys would think, oh, he just doesn't like the defensive coordinator or the D line coach. And it has nothing to do with that. Like I said, it's personal opinions on the last video. So we're going to split it up, and then of course we got to talk about the offense because this team isn't perfect. They have miscues on both sides of the field. Just being honest. So before we get into it, I know we say this all the time, but Lucas, let them know where they can find you.
All right, they can find me at Robbins Lucas on Twitter, and you can also find me as the lead writer for thebluestable.com.
All right, man. Let's go ahead and hop into it. Now, the Colts offense has seen a huge upgrade from week one. Just being honest. So it was down to a point where we're like, we're not making the playoffs. With this offense, the way it was moving, it was terrible. Like we 1 week we was using three wide receivers. We weren't using Jonathan Taylor like we were supposed to. People are wondering why the heck we're using Marlon Mack. But now I want to ask you, Lucas, let me know your thoughts about this Colts offense going into next week. How does it look for you?
Well, over the last 4 weeks, it has looked a lot better since the first three, let me tell you. The first three, culminating in our last time facing the Titans, was not good at all. I mean, there were some flashes with Carson Wentz. He had some really impressive play at times. Unfortunately, in week three, that was not the case because he had two sprained ankles, one high, one low. But there were some flashes of what could be, and last 4 weeks, we saw what it is. Carson Wentz is looking like a damn good quarterback. He has not thrown a single interception since week two, which of course was the much very controversial little what's it called?
Handoff or like the pitch?
It was more, yeah, it was like a pitch. It wasn't even an overhand throw. Like all of his picks have been underhanded throws, very much, which very weird. But hey, he isn't throwing any overhand, so that's what. As long as he throws overhand, he's interception proof. But beyond that, he has been very, very efficient with the ball, as well as Jonathan Taylor has really taken a step forward. He hasn't gotten like crazy high usage, but he is very, very efficient. He is now 5.5 yards per carry on the season, which is insane. He is the most in yards per carry for any running back over 90 carries this season, which is quite a crazy feat so far. We have some on against the Texans. We saw a little bit of what Carson Wentz's mojo is with T.Y. Hilton, which is very, very good. He yet again dominated the Texans. So if T.Y. plays again this upcoming week, that will add an extra deep dimension to the Colts. Michael Pittman Jr. has really stepped it up in terms of being a wide receiver for this team. He has not dropped a single pass so far this season, and he has been targeted 50 times, which is one of the best drop rates in the NFL, if not the best. And overall, it's just been very, very encouraging to see this team really kind of come into form, especially on the offensive side of the ball. And heck, even the pass protection is getting better. They're getting a little bit healthier. You got Quentin Nelson coming back last week. Matt Pryor has looked solid at right tackle. There's been some hits or miss at times, but he's been a lot better than what Davenport was giving us, let me tell you that. And we also even have Chris Reed filling in for Glowinski. He might be taking over that starting right guard job. They're kind of in a little bit of a competition right now where both of them were splitting snaps last week. But he might represent a possible upgrade over Glowinski at right guard. So once we have Fisher kind of get back to 100% from his Achilles, Quinn Nelson seems like he's coming back completely from his injury. And Ryan Kelly is also improving a little bit from his offseason injury. Ultimately, this offensive line could be very, very dangerous, especially once Braden Smith is back, which he was a limited participant today. So there is hope that he will be playing this upcoming Sunday.
Yeah, man, I agree. Like, this offense is definitely, like I said, seen upgrades since week one. Carson Wentz is looking like he's back to playing decent football after his last stint in Philadelphia. But that was one thing we kind of knew that we were going to get when we acquired Carson Wentz. It's kind of like we knew that Carson Wentz could still play football. We knew he was leaving a terrible organization with no offensive line, really. So that his play never really worried me because we knew we were getting a streaky quarterback that missed the first reads a lot. But now that the offensive line is getting healthy, you see him starting to step up in the pocket more comfortably, setting his feet on these throws, and just hitting the targets that he needs to hit. Even before Paris Campbell got hurt, the chemistry with him and Paris Campbell on that touchdown, it just showed you the potential that he can bring. Even Zachary Pascal, one of the most consistent wide receivers in Colts football as of today, when he's getting the ball thrown to him, it's just automatic. Now he's getting Wally Cox more involved. They talked about that. Coach Frank Wright talked about in the interviews how he's going to try to get him more involved. I think it was Marcus Brady, my mistakes, but trying to get him more involved in the offense. But it's just that the offense is starting to move more flowly. I asked Mason about the offense going into the Tennessee Titan games. I told him that I wouldn't want Jonathan Taylor with a rib injury to try to be the workhorse going into this game. I want the consistency to stay with Carson Wentz, but throwing the football. That's how I want them to beat the Titans. I want them to have the football thrown in the air, testing those secondaries, and getting the job done in the air. What do you think? I'm going to ask you about the offense. What do you think should be the go-to for the Colts to win against the Tennessee Titans on the offensive side?
Well, you mentioned Jonathan Taylor with his rib injury, and also Naeem Hines is also dealing with a rib injury right now. Both of them were considered limited participants this Wednesday practice, though it was more of a walkthrough than a full-on practice, but that was more of an estimation of where they were going to be at if they did play. But yeah, with both of them banged up a little bit, I could see a little bit more of a rotation, possibly bringing in Marlon Mack a bit more for some snaps. He's been getting some limited time over the last few games. But overall, I agree. The way to beat the Titans is not through the run game solely, but you got to mix in a good amount of Carson Wentz. And so far, we've seen that Carson Wentz can beat teams with his arms and with a little bit of his legs. So that's definitely a great way to challenge them, especially now that we have these wide receivers coming into form with Michael Pittman Jr. has been absolutely phenomenal the last few games. And he had some amazing catches last week, especially in the rain. He has not dropped a single pass, and he played in a monsoon, including getting 2 deep receptions last week. One of them was an insane first drive of the game, just great over the shoulder throw. The other, a leaping grab that was right over a San Francisco 49ers defender. And it was so impressive of a game icing touchdown that there was a random conspiracy theorist on YouTube saying that his gloves are magnetic and so is the football. That's how smooth the catch was. So, yeah, I don't buy it. I just think he's just a damn good catcher of the ball. But
Yeah,
ultimately, it's going to be really interesting to see how they attack this Titans defense, because the Titans, they came into form last week against the Kansas City Chiefs, especially in the pass defense. They've been getting after the quarterback a lot. And if the Colts offensive line cannot protect Carson Wentz, which we've seen that they can get to average levels, but this Titans front is actually looking really, really damn good in terms of their pressure rates. I think 5th in the league right now. So if the pass rush is getting to them, they might have to lean on the run game a little bit more, possibly go for some screens and quick action so that way they can get the ball out of Wentz's hands earlier. But it's going to be a very interesting battle for the Colts to face, and with a lot of high stakes.
yeah, man, definitely. You mentioned all the positive things about the Colts offense, but you never really mentioned the negative things. So before we get out of here, what are some of the things the Colts can fix that you think will increase the reputation or the progress of the offense for the Colts?
Well, for one, I think they need to give some help to their tackles in the pass game. I love Mo Alley Cox, especially as a receiver in the red zone, but we need to be able to protect Carson Wentz first and foremost. And if this pass rush is going to be as relentless as we think it is, we need to kind of bring in an extra blocker or two to at least chip block at the line of scrimmage before you go into your route, or maybe even have one of the tight ends stay in to pass block for a few sets here or there, just to kind of knock these pass rushers off their rushes. There needs to be a lot of communication up front because they can move around a lot, especially with Danico Autry. He can attack almost any gap on the offensive line. So we're very familiar with him, of course. We don't want him to have a big game. Harold Landry has been phenomenal this season, been a very strong edge rusher for them, and I think he could give Eric Fisher some fits as well. And also, I do think that we have a date of destiny for Quentin Nelson versus Jeffrey Simmons. Jeffrey Simmons is saying that he thinks he's going to be able to win the physical battle, or at least he's not planning on losing with Quentin Nelson. I think if the Colts are going to be really successful, they need to put Jeffrey Simmons in the turf at least 1 or 2 times. Kind of make a point of emphasis that, hey, this is your best guy versus our best guy. We're going to put him to the ground, and there's not a damn thing you can do to stop it.
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of crazy to hear. But hey, we've been hearing a lot of things crazy coming out of Tennessee, especially their head coach, but we wouldn't hop into that. But things were said. Definitely going to use that as fire. Hopefully the Colts can get the job done. But I appreciate your input on the Colts offense. You guys let us know in the comment section your thoughts about the Colts offense as well. I know you might write about this, but let me get a score prediction of that game.
Well, I am going to predict that this is going to be a very close game between the Colts and the Titans. A lot of stakes. Neither team is really going to want to lose this one. With a Colts win, the Colts would be only 1 game back in the AFC South and would not have the tiebreaker given up to the Titans. It would move on to the conference record. And if the Titans win, they get a 3.5 game lead with that tiebreaker as that half game and basically seal the division for the season and force the Colts to have to try and maybe see if they can get a wild card spot for the most part. So I believe that this Colts team is going to win, but it's going to be close. I have it as a 28-27 win.
Okay. 28-27. Going to be looking forward to seeing how that's going to turn out. We appreciate your thoughts and that prediction as well. But we're going to go ahead and get up out of here. Once again, thank you for joining me tonight. Appreciate everyone that watches the videos. Like, comment, subscribe. Check him out on all his social media platforms. Go ahead and let them know where they can find you one more time.
Yet again, you can find me at Robbins Lucas on Twitter, and you can also find me as the lead writer for thebluestable.com.
All right, there you have it. Go ahead and check him out. Once again, appreciate you for joining. This is Marcus. That's Lucas. And until next time, you've been Culture Shock.